I'll start with a quick review for this book, Build by Tony Fadell. Very interesting book. I was surprised, didn't think of it as good, especially considering the length, but it was pretty good. Talking about his time at Apple, building the iPod, and then starting the company Nest, after that selling it, and so on. But very good, interesting inside look on startup, how it works, or how big companies function, like Apple. A little bit about Steve Jobs, and just generally good tips, I think, about how to build things, not necessarily even if you don't want to, just an interesting inside look again on how things work on different departments. He talks about legal, sales, marketing. He touches on a lot of subjects. It's quite interesting, I would say. Pretty good writer too. Overall, I'll give this book a 4 out of 5. Even a 5. It's pretty easy read too. Pretty interesting. I found tips pretty good. So let's see the notes. Make connections with people you're interested in or share interests with, even when it's online. Just by making connections, commenting on people, eventually they might notice you. Eventually, you might get something out of it, or you start a connection with someone. Executive look month ahead. Managers look up to 2 months ahead. Juniors look weeks ahead. Don't forget to look up sometimes. Depends where you're at in the hierarchy. That's the way it usually works. Like how far ahead you're looking. But if you're the junior, what you should do is look up sometimes, look around, see where is it going? Because sometimes you can be a little tunnel vision, and we can see what's going on around. Micromanaging happens when we don't trust their process. We have to let people be creative and in charge of their own work. That's what happens when micromanaging. That's where it starts. We don't trust them. We try to manage things. It doesn't work out, and they resent us for doing so. So one of the reasons is not trusting. We should find successors and not afraid of their success, as their success shine on our success. Often, apparently, people don't want to find successors or nourish people to be their successors because they would take their space or their place. The idea is that we should do it because if they're succeeding, that means as managers we succeeded. Data could only be reliant to a certain extent. It's hard to find perfect data or customers to do the research on. So, should rely on data, but only to a certain extent. The way to distinguish between assholes to people trying to make things better is by understanding their motives. Sometimes understanding, because some people, when they try to do good, they would sound like assholes. But we need to understand their motives. Not always easy, but that's a good way to start. When they can't innovate, they litigate. That's what happens when big companies, when there is a disruptor coming in. It happens to Nest, I think, with Honeywell. Honeywell tried to litigate them out of existence. That's a good quote. Marketing studies showed no one wanted a screenless phone. That's one of the problems, relying on marketing too much. When Apple came up with an iPhone, no one, the marketing studies showed that no one is interested in such a thing. Everyone wanted keyboard, Blackberries. That was the hot thing back then. That's the problem with relying too much on data. Focus on the why. Why do you want to do it, or why are you doing it in the first place? That's your marketing. That's why your team should be along with you. The why is the most important part. Focus on how to fix the problem, not who to blame. That's the first thing you should do when there is a problem, is how to fix it, not who to blame. You do want to get into that at a certain point, but not the first time. Next one is marketing includes the product, the website, and all experience around it. That's a part of it. That's all marketing. Everything, even the salespeople talking to them is a part of marketing. The product itself is marketing because that's how the product is. That's how people perceive it. And we have the last one here. Getting flowers every week makes the receiver not value it anymore. Same with benefits. So he argues against having so many benefits like free massages, free snack foods, all kinds of snack foods and things like that. He argues against it because then it becomes obvious. Same thing with giving flowers to a person every week. At a certain point, it's no longer special. People get used to it and they demand it. So he recommends against those things, rather do make it special. Find a way to make it special. That's all for the notes. Again, good book. I would recommend, especially if you're interested in the way startups work. Again, 4 out of 5. The only thing is not a 5. There's like some like as much as you see, like not that many notes. There's some notes, but overall not like a transformative book. But I would highly recommend even a high 4. That's it. Thank you.